You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here, right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, with a very special double review for you guys. I'm going to be reviewing Dynamite from January 5th, 2022, and Rampage from January 7th, 2022. Newsflash, both of these shows were taped at the same night, as per most weeks, to be quite honest. I did attend Dynamite this week. Overall thoughts, I thought it was a really fun experience. It was a really fun show to watch. And to be quite honest, it was probably one of the best shows I've attended. The atmosphere was awesome, but I will say this. The arena at the Prudential Center wasn't full. I could tell like there was a lot of empty seats on the other side of the arena. But probably because of the fact that, there's a pandemic going on and, there's a lot of people that tested positive, so they didn't attend the event. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's actually the case, but that's what I've heard. But I did attend Dynamite. Hopefully I will put out some sort of a vlog or show you guys my experience in a future video. I'm planning to upload it tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. Of course, we got Battle of the Belts tonight on TNT, which is actually, it's going to be a good show. But one thing I will say is that I'm kind of disappointed that show is actually only 1 hour. I actually expected that show to be 2 hours. Not only that, I actually expected the show to have a little bit more build, and to be quite honest, Battle of the Belts did not have a lot of build. But I'm going to be reviewing Dynamite and Rampage on this particular video. And overall thoughts on both particular shows. I thought both shows were really good. There was a couple nitpicks there and there, but overall, the TBS debut of Dynamite, of course, wrestling is back on the SUPERSTATION. The TBS debut was awesome. I really enjoyed the show. Of course, Hangman and Danielson absolutely killed it at the Prudential Center. It was their second meeting. Of course, their first meeting was a couple weeks ago at Winter is Coming, in which they both went to a 60-minute time limit draw. In this particular match, there were 3 judges. Those 3 judges were Paul White, Mark Henry, and Jerry Lynn, which I like how they included the judges, but to be quite honest, the judges didn't really do anything. There was no 60-minute time limit draw. Instead, this match actually only happened lasted over 30 minutes, which is fine with me. The 60-minute time limit draw thing was really good, but I 100% definitely do see a rematch happening between Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson. Now, granted, Hangman Page did beat Danielson clean, but I would love to see, and this is my opinion, I would love to see somewhat of an Iron Man match between both Danielson and Hangman, maybe at Revolution. That's just me. I predicted that it would happen at Battle of the Belts, but I was wrong because there's only 3. Originally, there was actually going to be 2 championship matches, but there's only 3 championship matches at Battle of the Belts. The FTW title, Ricky Starks going up against Matt Sydal, is actually the match that was added to the card. And also, Cody Rhodes is not going to be competing at Battle of the Belts. They will be crowning an interim TNT champion. So I will explain more on my Rampage portion of this particular double review, but I'm going to be discussing Dynamite. Dynamite it kicked off with Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson, of course, their second match. I definitely do see it there. Again, I definitely do see a third match happening because it's just destined to happen, and hopefully I pray that it's an Iron Man match. I just want that match to be an Iron Man match, to be quite honest with you. But overall thoughts on this match. This match was freaking amazing. I really enjoyed the match, especially experiencing it live. It was just awesome. It was just a fun, just flat out, balls to the wall, fun ass match. The match starts. Hangman tries to go after Bryan, but Bryan is on the outside. The beginning portions of this particular match, Bryan was definitely stalling Hangman Page. Like, he was definitely showing off, doing those jumping jacks, and this is what he did during this portion of the match. Both go in the ring, both lock up. Hangman misses a chop. We get a takedown by Danielson. Hangman escapes, but Danielson goes to the outside. Danielson then gets back in the ring. Danielson then applies a wrist lock. Hangman reverses it. He misses the chop again, that being Hangman. Danielson then goes for he goes for the jumping jacks again, so he just shows off like crazy. Both lock up. We get a side headlock by Danielson. We get a wrist lock by Danielson. Then Danielson goes to the outside. Then Hangman out of nowhere hits a suicide dive. Then Hangman goes to the top rope. He tries to hit a moonsault, but lands on his feet. Then he picks up Danielson and hits a powerbomb on the apron. He tries to hit the buckshot, but Danielson escapes to the outside. Then Hangman goes for the suicide dive, but Danielson takes him to the guardrail. Then he sends Hangman to the ring post, then sends him again to the ring post. Danielson then targets the arm of Hangman. We get a kick by Danielson, and then we get a couple of chops by Danielson. Then Hangman reverses it and hits a couple of chops in the corner. We get a stomp by Danielson on the right arm of Hangman, so Danielson has been targeting the right arm. Danielson continues to target the arm. We get a cover by Danielson and a near fall. Danielson hits an uppercut after that. Hangman then catches Danielson and hits the fall-away slam. Then Hangman hits the springboard clothesline for the second time on the apron on Bryan Danielson. Hangman goes to the top. We get a clothesline off the top by Hangman. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a chop by Hangman, and then we get a kick by Hangman. Danielson then takes Hangman to the outside. We get a suicide dive by Danielson, but Hangman catches him and hits the suplex on the floor, which looked nasty. Then Danielson trips Hangman, landing him onto the steel steps. Danielson goes back in the ring. At this point, Hangman is busted open and is being checked by the doctors. We get repeated rights by Danielson, and during the commercial break, Danielson continues to work on Hangman. He sends him to the guardrail. Things like, he's gouging the eyes of Hangman outside of the ring during the break. He was really working on Hangman, and I mean working on Hangman. Like, Hangman was just getting decimated at this point. So then, all right, where am I? Once we're back from break, we get repeated headbutts by Danielson on Hangman. Hangman then fights back with a chop. We get a back and forth attempts by both. We get a suplex by Danielson. We get repeated rights on Hangman. Danielson then applies the cross arm breaker. We get repeated rights on Danielson, or by Danielson, I should say. We get a chop in the corner by Hangman. Hangman reverses, but Danielson lands on his feet with a moonsault. Hangman picks up Danielson and hits the Death Valley driver. Then we get a chop by Hangman in the corner. Danielson reverses it with a kick. We get a couple of headbutts by Danielson. I will say this. During this whole portion of the match, there were a lot of headbutts in the match. And let me tell you, headbutts are not pretty. I will say that. Danielson gets sent in the corner. We get a clothesline in the corner. Danielson then hits a German on Hangman. Hangman reverses it and hits another German, or I should say his own German. We get a bridge pin attempt by Hangman. We get a near fall. Danielson goes for the yes kicks. Then Hangman fights back. We get a boot by Hangman. Hangman tries to hit a brainbuster on Danielson. Danielson tries to reverse it on the outside. Then Danielson sends Hangman to the ring post again. Then Hangman tries to reverse Danielson by sending him to the post, but then Hangman finally reverses it and sends multiple times Danielson by holding onto his arms multiple times onto the ring post, which causes Danielson to be busted open. Hangman returns the favor with a couple of jumping jacks after that, so he's now at this point, the tides have turned. Hangman is the one that is stalling Danielson instead of Danielson stalling Hangman. So, again, great storytelling right there. Once we're back from commercial break, Danielson and Hangman are on the top. Hangman goes for repeated rights. We get a headbutt by Danielson. We get repeated headbutts by Hangman. Hangman goes to the top rope. We get a fall-away slam moonsault combination. So it looked like he was hitting a fall-away slam, but Hangman actually landed like a moonsault. So it was basically, I called it a fall-away slam moonsault combination off the top. We got a cover and a near fall. Hangman then gets pushed to the outside. Danielson tries to hit a running knee on the outside, but Hangman catches him into the Deadeye on the outside of the ring, which, again, was one of the craziest spots of the matches. Hangman then misses the buckshot lariat when Danielson collapses to the mat. So, again, at this point, Danielson is just playing mind games with Hangman, because what happens after, Danielson basically tricks Hangman and applies the inside cradle pin attempt. We get a near fall with that. Danielson then applies the lapel lock submission on Hangman. Hangman then escapes. Then Hangman then catapults Danielson over the top rope. We get a boot by Hangman on Danielson. Hangman goes to the top. He hits a moonsault on the outside, then misses the buckshot. Then Danielson hits the running knee. We get a cover and a near fall. So when he hit the running knee, I will say that was a mark-out moment in the crowd of New Jersey. Like, everybody marked out when he misses the buckshot and then Danielson out of nowhere hit the running knee. I marked out. A lot of people marked out in the building. I will say that was one of the best moments of the match. So he hits a moonsault on the outside. Actually, no, never mind. Wrong part. We get a cover into near fall. We get a headbutt by Danielson, then a headbutt by Hangman. Again, a lot of headbutts. Back and forth headbutts at this point. And Tony Schiavone, I will say this, during commentary, while, both Hangman and Danielson were doing the back and forth headbutts, Tony Schiavone was stating it's headbutt city. We get repeated headbutts by Danielson and then again by Hangman. Then we get jumping headbutts by both. Then we get a high kick by Danielson, a rolling elbow by Danielson. Then Danielson counters the Deadeye attempt and hits the Gotch-style pile driver. Then Danielson goes for repeated stomps to the face. He sets up the running knee, but Hangman counters into a powerbomb. Danielson catches Hangman into a triangle submission. Then Danielson transforms that triangle submission and applies the leg lock. So it's like a different version it's like a modified leg lock, something like that. Hangman then counters with repeated rights. Hangman then goes for a backdrop. Hangman is on the apron. He takes off the elbow pad. What happens? He hits, finally, the buckshot lariat successfully. Cover. 1, 2, 3. Hangman Page beats Bryan Danielson clean and retains the AEW World Championship. Overall thoughts on this match. This was a freaking, just flat out, balls to the wall, amazing ass match. Me experiencing this match live, I will tell you, the crowd was just on their feet for the majority of the entire match, especially near the end. I mean, there was a lot of back and forth from the middle to the end. There was a lot of back and forth. I will say the match started off a little slow, but of course they were trying to build up to what eventually became a really awesome match in the end. Was this better than the 60-minute time limit draw that they both had in their previous match? Honestly, I do not know. I mean, I will say this: the whole time limit draw, there was a lot of excitement during that portion because you really didn't know what was going to happen, and you really didn't know what was going to happen here. Eventually, I knew that Hangman was... I mean, coming in, of course you're going to know that Hangman is going to retain the AEW title because of the fact that he just won the title 2 months ago. So, I mean, it would make no sense for him to drop the title to Danielson. But this is Danielson's first loss in AEW. So I do say this. Are they going to have a third match? Hopefully, honestly, I hope they do, because I really want a trilogy from these guys. The way I would book it is that I would book an Iron Man match for Revolution. Bryan Danielson versus Hangman 3 in an Iron Man match. Come on. Make it happen, AEW. I just want that match to happen so bad. But overall thoughts, again, flat out balls to the wall match. I love this match. It was a really fun match to watch. The crowd, again, was on their feet. Everybody marked out. When that running knee happened by Danielson, holy shit, that was a mark out moment. But again, amazing match. Awesome. And it's a great match. A great match to start off the TBS era of Dynamite. So great to see that. We get a backstage segment with the Acclaimed. They talk about Darby Allin and Sting and saying that they're not done with Darby, and says next week they will do a music video. Great. MJF versus Shawn Dean. Of course, MJF is in action. CM Punk, during the match, comes out of nowhere. MJF proceeds to run away. He's in the ramp. Then what happens? CM Punk hits the GTS on Shawn Dean. And I will say this. Everybody was kind of shocked when he hit the GTS. But then realizing that was a DQ finish in which Shawn Dean won, everyone was like, oh shit, this was a DQ finish. So this causes a DQ in which Shawn Dean is the winner. MJF is now 0-1. Now, a lot of people, especially a lot of those E-drones on Twitter, were basically complaining about how a lot of people are complaining that WWE has a lot of DQ finishes, but AEW, when they do a DQ finish, you defend them. First off, those are completely two different things. In AEW, wins and losses matter. In WWE, wins and losses do not matter. Number two, this is part of the storyline in which, CM Punk explained, until MJF wrestles him, basically he will keep on doing what he's doing. And that's what he stated. So yeah, just got let all those E-drones know on Twitter about that. So after that, Punk grabs the mic and says that it will happen every time until him and Punk get in the ring. Calls MJF a little bitch. Then MJF runs down New Jersey as he usually does, because he hates New Jersey because he's from Long Island. Punk says that they are winners and he just lost. MJF says everything that comes out of his mouth is fake and induces boredom. And then we get shut the fuck up chance, which is hilarious. He came out last week and says he was done with it. Now, looking in hindsight, he's back where he started. Says he knows the truth deep down. Without him, he is nothing. Then he gives him an edge and puts a chip on his shoulder. He makes him relevant. So after MJF said, he makes CM Punk relevant, again, Tony Schiavone, this guy is so funny and goes to show you the difference between WWE commentators and AEW commentators. AEW commentators, there's a lot more freedom there. And after MJF said, he makes CM Punk relevant, right after that line, Tony Schiavone on commentary was like, I call bullshit on that, which was one of the funniest things in the entire segment, in my opinion. But that's not even the best part. So after that, MJF states, and for him to come out here and say that he was a waste of money when he is the guy that sold TK and all these people a bill of goods, he ain't the guy he used to be. He's not the saver. But you know who is? Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And says, by the way, he has a problem when saying he's like Piper. And he is curious, PG Punk. And now after that, there was a bunch of PG Punk chants. Then he says, does he think that he's like Roddy Piper? Because the last time he checked, Piper was actually talented enough to main event a WrestleMania. That was one of the funniest things I've ever heard MJF say. And again, it goes to show you that AEW just don't give a rat's ass about what they say. Then he tells the crowd to shut up. And then, and by the way, if he's not shown the proper respect, then maybe he will main event a Mania 2. Hilarious. Punk at this point is laughing his ass off, and MJF is asking, what are you laughing at, dipshit? Punk says all he's trying to do is kick his ass and stop talking and get in the ring. And he ran from him and hid behind FTR, and this was the best line of the entire segment. CM Punk basically stated, if you think the grass is greener on the other side, be my guest. Go ahead. Leave. Main event night 4 of a buy one, get one free extravaganza, and then get released faster than he lasts in the sack. And then when he comes back, he'll still be here, and that ass kicking will be waiting for him. Holy shit, that was arguably the funniest line I've ever, heard in any type of segment. It's a dig at WWE, but it's hilarious because of the fact that, WWE's on Peacock and you just only pay like $4 a month. With AEW pay-per-views, you pay $50 a month, but those $50 are worth it because of the fact that you're going to get a good product. But again, it's hilarious. And again, I got to mention those E-drones on Twitter. Those E-drones on Twitter, man, were complaining. And I see that and I'm like, bruh, when people say AEW lives rent-free in people's heads, I cringe because of the fact that, back in the 90s, right? In the 90s, you had companies like the WWF, WCW take shots at each other. ECW would take shots at both all the freaking time. So that was the cool thing to do back in the day. How come in 2022 it's not cool to basically, mention the competition like that? At the end of the day, they're all having fun. Like literally, you the viewer watching, they're all having fun. Be honest with yourself. Come on. But overall thoughts on this segment. This was a really fun segment. I really enjoyed it. It was just hilarious, and it was probably it was probably the best segment of the entire night. We get a video package of Saturday's Battle of the Belts special. Again, Cody is not going to be wrestling Sammy Guevara because of the medical reason. A lot of people are saying it's COVID-19. I do not know that for sure, but we'll see in the future. Dustin Rhodes is the replacement for Sammy Guevara. No, he's the replacement for Cody Rhodes, and it's not that Cody is going to be relinquishing the TNT Championship. Instead, they're going to be crowning an interim TNT Champion. So they're going to be crowning another TNT Champion, and once basically Cody Rhodes comes back, they're going to probably do a unification match. I will explain more of that when I get to the Rampage portion of the review, and I definitely do see a lot of possibilities that can happen, and they're really good possibilities, I will say that. We got a Chris Jericho segment. The crowd sings Judas as usual. Says it's a historical night. It's the first episode of AEW shown on TBS. And we get TBS chants in Newark, New Jersey. Jericho says that it's probably the first time that wrestling's had a TBS chant. It says it's a homecoming for him because the last time he was on TBS was April 7th, 1999, when he was wrestling on WCW Thunder, losing to Booker T. I think we get a couple of boos during that segment as well. And he says that he thinks he cheated, which is hilarious. And he says that it's great to be back on TBS and in Newark. He talks about those jerk-offs, as he calls them, 2.0, about taking them out 6 weeks ago. He is back, and that's why last week he came to get revenge on those 2.0 dipshits. and he's not going to be friends with Eddie Kingston. Then 2.0 comes out. Jericho calls them Terrence and Phillip. Then 2.0 says that they will give him a taste of the steel chair. Jericho says that he didn't like that taste. Says he can't stop looking at Matt Lee's head, which was hilarious. They made fun of Matt Lee. Then he asks the crowd if he looks like a square head or a pinhead. Then all of a sudden, 2.0 proceeds to threaten Jericho. Jericho then grabs his baseball bat, Floyd. What happens? Daniel Garcia comes out of nowhere to try to attack Jericho, but then Santana, Ortiz, and Eddie Kingston come out for the save, and the segment ends. Overall thoughts, it was a pretty good segment, I will say that, but I will say this whole feud when it comes to 2.0 and Daniel Garcia, Santana, and Ortiz, I mean, how many times have we seen them wrestle on Rampage? I mean, we saw them wrestle in a street fight. I could have sworn we saw them wrestle on Rampage prior. Maybe I'm wrong. I completely forgot, but to be quite honest, I'm kind of not really invested in this feud. I'm not really 2.0 is great. I will say that. 2.0, of course, they used to be Everrise in the WWE, or in NXT, I should say. 2.0 is good. Daniel Garcia is just a monster in the ring. He's a freaking awesome. But to be quite honest, I feel like, Santana and Ortiz should be doing a little bit better. I feel like they should be part of the tag team division. I mean, my dumbass, they are part of the tag team division, but I'm saying they should be part of the tag team title scene. That's what I mean. My dumbass. Of course, they're part of the tag team division, but I'm saying, they should be upper in the card in the tag team division. I mean, hell, Santana and Ortiz didn't even win the tag titles yet. I mean, Sammy Guevara already won the TNT championship, of course. Jericho was the first ever AEW champion. But what the hell about Santana and Ortiz? I mean, I want Santana and Ortiz to win the tag team championships, to be honest. I mean, AEW, I love you guys, but what are you guys doing? You guys are, in my opinion, I feel like they're sleeping on Santana and Ortiz. I mean, Santana and Ortiz are freaking awesome, and, they're not in the title contention yet. I mean, the rankings probably show it, but, come on. Push them so they can win the tag team titles. One prediction I will make for 2022, Santana and Ortiz will win the tag team championships. All right. We get Adam Cole and Red Dragon, a.k.a. Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, backstage. Says that last week was awesome and they whooped Best Friends and Orange Cassidy's asses. And says that Kyle's kick was an accident. And then together, they are unstoppable. And then Adam Cole challenges Jake Atlas for Rampage. Spoiler alert, Adam Cole basically won that match. And not only that, I believe Jake Atlas got injured. I think it was a knee injury. Correct me if I'm wrong, which looked sick, and I think he's going to be out for a while, but it's his first televised match. But Jake Atlas was really good in that match, I will say that. Wardlow versus Antonio Zambrano. He's a jobber. Basically, when the ref was not looking before the match even starts, Spears hits a Death Valley driver on the outside. Then the bell rings. Wardlow hits 4 power bombs. We get a cover and wins the match. So they're going on this crazy tirade with Wardlow, and I forgot to mention this on the CM Punk segment, that he will be facing Wardlow next week on Dynamite. Again, Wardlow is on this crazy-ass winning streak, and honestly, I do believe that, if Wardlow loses, what the hell is going to happen to Wardlow? But at the same time, you run the risk of CM Punk losing, and you really don't want that. And, you don't want CM Punk to lose, to be quite honest with you. So, I don't know what the hell they're going to be doing next week on Dynamite regarding the booking stance on that particular match, but I have faith in AEW that they will do something, that's really interesting and will definitely fit in with the story and the feud of MJF and CM Punk. So hopefully we'll see what happens next week on TBS on the Superstation. All right. Jade Cargill versus Ruby Soho for the TBS Championship. I will say this. This was not the best match of the night. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. First off, I did not think that Jade Cargill should have been in the finals. I think it should have been Thunder Rosa, to be quite honest. I think it would have been a much better match, and it would play into the story of them two, of course, being in the finals of the Casino Battle Royale back at All Out back in September. And, it would have just been an awesome-ass match, and honestly, it didn't really matter who would win that match because they'd have a lengthy title run, and then after that title run, the person that would take the belt away from them would be Jade Cargill. To be quite honest, I wasn't as big of a fan of this match, especially watching it live. It was not really that good of a match. The crowd was dead. I wasn't really as invested in this match as I was for other matches, to be quite honest. But I'm going to take notes on, I'm going to tell you guys my notes that I took on the match. Both lock up. We get a right hand by Ruby. Ruby takes Jade to the outside. We get a kick by Ruby on the apron. We got a shotgun drop kick by Ruby onto the outside. Jade is in control. Jade is on the top. Jade with a double sledge off the top. Jade goes back to the top. We get an arm drag by Ruby on the outside. Mercedes Martinez then comes in. Of course, Mercedes Martinez made her debut last week on Dynamite, which was an awesome debut, and I'm glad that AEW signed Mercedes Martinez because she's really good in the ring. And, I feel like WWE, the fact that they released Mercedes Martinez is ridiculous. I mean, she's a 20-year veteran, for God's sakes. Thunder Rosa then runs in and attacks Martinez. We go to commercial break. Jade is in control during the break. Ruby regains control. We get a couple of kicks by Ruby. Ruby hits an enziguri. We get a side headlock by Jade. Ruby then takes Jade down. We get a cover into a near fall. We get a kick to the knee of Jade. Jade picks up Ruby. We get a shoulder breaker by Jade. Jade hits a pump kick. We get a cover into a near fall. Jade picks up Ruby Soho. Ruby tries to counter, and Ruby hits a right forearm. We get a side headlock by Jade. We get a Saito suplex by Ruby Soho after that. Then Mark Sterling tries to distract the referee. The referee, of course, that being Aubrey Edwards, she's amazing, kicks him out. We get a roll-up by Ruby. We get a near fall. Ruby hits the Pele kick. We get a cover and a near fall. Ruby takes Jade to the corner. We get a boot by Jade. Then we get a roll-up by Ruby and a near fall. We get a couple of chops by Ruby into the corner. Jade is on the top rope. Ruby tries to go for the arm drag, but Jade hits the Jaded off the top. We get a cover, and Jade wins the first ever, and she is the first ever TBS Women's Champion. And she proceeds to celebrate with her family there because her family was in attendance. Again, overall thoughts, to be quite honest, I would have had Thunder Rosa in Jade's position. I feel like Jade would have been much better to beat either someone like a Ruby Soho or a Thunder Rosa, whoever could have possibly been the TBS champion if Thunder Rosa wrestled Ruby Soho. One of those two could have had a lengthy title run, and then Jade Cargill would be, the one to basically take the belt away from them. That's how I would have booked it, but AEW went a different route and had Jade Cargill immediately, wrestle Ruby Soho. And I will say this, it was not a good match in my opinion. I wasn't as invested in this match. The crowd was completely dead. There were a couple of chants there and there, but overall, like, the whole match, I mean, there wasn't a lot of chants. There were some, but there weren't really a lot. The crowd was just basically dead, to be quite honest with you. And I was not really that big of a fan of this match. Again, Thunder Rosa should have been in Jade's position, and, Ruby Soho and Jade would have pulled out a classic, if they were wrestling, but apparently that was not the case. And not only that, they probably have bigger plans for Thunder Rosa, to be quite honest with you, because Thunder Rosa, for a fact, Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa are going to be wrestling for the women's title. And I definitely do see Thunder Rosa being in that title contention and eventually taking the belt away from Britt Baker in a couple months, maybe at a pay-per-view, maybe at Double or Nothing. Who knows what is going to happen? But, if we saw what we saw with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker last year, who's to say they're going to top it this year? Because I feel like they definitely will. I 100% think that they will be wrestling for the women's championship at a pay-per-view this year, and Thunder Rosa will eventually take the belt away from Britt Baker. All right. Serena Deeb basically challenges Hikaru Shida next week on Dynamite. How many times we've seen this match? This is like the 5th time we've seen this match already, to be quite honest. They had really good matches on Dynamite for the past couple of weeks, but to be quite honest, I'm not really, invested again. I was invested before, but now, we've seen this match already, so what's the point of having this match again? That's just my opinion. Malachi Black versus Brian Pillman Jr. This was a really good match. I don't even want to say a really good match. Malachi Black was going to beat Brian Pillman, but Brian Pillman did get his offense. I will say that. He got his offense. Both lock up. Malachi misses the black mask because he tried to hit the spinning heel kick in the beginning portion of the match. We get a drop kick by Pillman. We get a back elbow in the corner by Black. We get a Millstone drop kick through the ropes by Pillman. We go to commercial break. Pillman lands on a kick by Malachi. We get a boot to the outside by Black during the break. Once we're back from break, Pillman holds on to the kick. We get an elbow strike by Pillman. Pillman then goes for a suplex on Malachi to the mat. Then he is on the apron. Pillman then botches a springboard, which eventually leads to Malachi hitting the black mask. And yes, I still call it the black mask because that's what it is. He hits the black mask cover, and Malachi Black wins the match. He goes back in the ring. Julia Hart, of course, with an eye patch because of what happened a couple weeks ago on Dynamite, where he sprayed the mist in the face of Julia Hart. Julia Hart goes to protect Brian Pillman. But then when Malachi comes back in the ring, of course she gets scared. But then the Lucha Bros come in and make the save. All right. Tony Schiavone interviews Ruby Soho after her devastating loss to Jade Cargill. Basically, Britt Baker comes in and says it's the second time she couldn't get the job done. Ruby says that she couldn't beat Riho, and then so she better focus on that match and leave her alone. Then she proceeds to attack Ruby Soho, same as Jamie Hayter and Rebel. Then Riho comes in for the save, and then they both basically face off backstage. And of course, they're going to be wrestling tonight at Battle of the Belts, which I think it's going to be a really good match, to be quite honest with you. But I will say this, the way, they booked it, Riho, having her to beat Britt Baker and then getting the title shot, to me, that's kind of reminiscent of WWE booking, and I feel like that is something AEW should avoid. And Rampage is having the problem with rematches as well, or like different variations of rematches, and to be quite honest, I don't want to see that. This is only on Rampage. Dynamite don't have that problem, but Rampage, I feel like, is starting to have that problem. It's kind of minor. It's really minor, but I'm just saying, they shouldn't be going the WWE booking route. I don't think they are, but, I just have a sense that they're doing something like that. Especially when you have Anna Jay, Ty Conti, and, Penelope Ford, and the Bunny as well, just wrestling many different weeks on Rampage. I mean, like, Rampage should really, they should stop really, booking these types of rematches for Rampage, but that's just me. They're not really rematches, but like they're involving the same people, so I definitely view that as a rematch. That's just my opinion. All right, the main event of the evening, the Lucha Bros versus Jurassic Express for the AEW Tag Team Championships. This was a really good match to end Dynamite. Of course, the Lucha Bros dropped the AEW Tag Titles to Jurassic Express. Fenix, basically, had a horrific injury near the end of this match, in which he went through a table via a chokeslam spot by Luchasaurus and landed really bad on his right arm. And I mean really bad on his right arm, and a lot of people feared for Rey Fenix, including myself. When I rewatched it, when I was taking notes, holy crap, when you look at his arm, the way it bent, I mean, it was really scary to see that. But thankfully, I believe Rey Fenix is all right, and he's got to get checked, but hopefully Rey Fenix recovers, and he'll get back in the ring. He gets back in the ring doing what he does best. But the match start, Jungle Boy and Fenix start. We get a Hurricane Rana by Jungle Boy. We get a roll up and a near fall. We get a drop kick by Fenix. Penta tags in. We get a double team attempt by the Lucha Bros. Luchasaurus tags in. We get a thrust kick by Penta on Jungle Boy. He takes the glove off and throws it to Alex Abrahantes. We get an overhand chop twice by Penta. Then he hits a third overhand chop. We get an overhand chop by Luchasaurus, so he's basically returning the favor. Fenix with a couple of kicks on Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy has both the Lucha Bros with them. We get a double takedown by Fenix and Jungle Boy when Fenix takes down Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy takes down Penta. That was an awesome spot. Luchasaurus with a double clothesline on the Lucha Bros. We get a German suplex on Penta. We get a cover and a near fall. Luchasaurus picks up Penta. We get a couple of kicks by Penta. We get a double Hurricane Rana by Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy goes to the apron. Fenix with a running kick from the top rope on Jungle Boy. Once we're back from commercial break, Jungle Boy tries to make the tag. We get a comebacker lariat by Jungle Boy, which looked awesome. Penta tags in. Luchasaurus tags in. We get a double clothesline by Luchasaurus. We get a pump kick. Then the Lucha Bros go in each corner. Then Luchasaurus takes them both out. Then, Rey Fenix escape. We get a double thrust kick by both of the Lucha Bros on Luchasaurus. Then Fenix takes Luchasaurus down. We get a cover and a near fall. Fenix tags in. Penta is on the top. Penta goes for the high boot. Luchasaurus picks up Penta. Jungle Boy goes to the top. Then jumps over Luchasaurus, having Penta up, and hits a Canadian Destroyer on Fenix by jumping over Luchasaurus holding up Penta, which arguably, in my opinion, was definitely my favorite spot of the match. That was just an awesome-ass spot, and, that was definitely a markout moment regarding Jungle Boy. Again, Jungle Boy is going to be a freaking star. I guarantee you that. Luchasaurus plants Penta to the mat. We get a cover and a near fall. Luchasaurus tags in. Penta then with a couple of thrust kicks. We get a Canadian Destroyer by Fenix on Luchasaurus. Penta then hits the Made in Japan on Jungle Boy. We get a cover and a near fall. Then the lights randomly go out, and then they come back up. I can remember when this happened. I literally just took out my phone and started recording because I thought something big was going to happen, but apparently that did not happen. Nothing happened, basically. Nothing happened when the lights came back on. But Fenix is on the top. Luchasaurus takes Fenix out. Penta then goes for the Fear Factor onto the apron. Fenix takes Luchasaurus to the outside. We get a Fear Factor by the Lucha Bros. Then we get a cover and a near fall. Alex Abrahante sets up a table. Christian Cage then chases him out. Fenix is on the apron. We get a couple of chops by Fenix. Then we get a boot by Luchasaurus. We get a thrust kick by Penta, a headbutt by Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus, of course, then hits the chokeslam through the table on Fenix, which had Fenix land really badly on his right arm. And, it really looked like he dislocated his right arm. Again, hopefully Fenix recovers from that because, again, accidents like this, are really, terrible. And I was listening to Solo Monster, and he brought up one good point. If you got, he basically recalled the match that Sid Vicious had back at WCW Sin back in 2001, in which he basically was off I believe it was off the middle rope or the top rope, and then when he went down, he basically dislocated his I think it was his right foot. Yeah, it was his left foot. It was his left foot. And, his foot basically just snapped like that, and it looked extremely horrific. He was comparing it to this. Thankfully, it's not as bad as that, but, Phoenix did land really badly. And if you watch the replay, I mean, my God. I'm actually really shocked that Phoenix did not even break his arm. Like, that is insane. But Phoenix is talented as hell. But hopefully Phoenix recovers from that. Jungle Boy tries to go for the kill switch. Penta escapes. We get a roll-up by Jungle Boy, and Jurassic Express win the Tag Team Championships. Everybody marked out for this moment. I remember it was really shocking. I was like, oh my God! The Jurassic Express won the tag titles. Then everybody, of course, was like humming Tarzan Boy. Again, awesome moment, but at the same time, we were still thinking about Phoenix and his injury, because that was really scary. That was extremely scary. But overall thoughts, this was a really good tag team match. I really enjoyed it. But overall thoughts on this episode of Dynamite. This was a really good episode of Dynamite. I will say that. Definitely, having Dynamite on TBS is really good. And not only that, they really had a very good first impression on a new network. And, starting off with Adam Page versus Bryan Danielson. I mean, that match was just balls to the wall. The TBS Championship finals match was really disappointing in my view. And everything else was just really good, in my opinion. I really enjoyed this episode, especially attending the show live. And, hopefully AEW comes back to the Prudential Center. And, overall thoughts, Dynamite was an awesome show. All right. Now I'm going to be talking about Rampage. So let me just pull up my Rampage notes. Overall thoughts on Rampage. I thought this was a pretty good episode of Rampage. Again, Rampage is, it's only a 1 hour show, so there's only 3 matches on the show. But there were really good matches, in my opinion. Again, we had Hook wrestle again on Rampage. This is like a common recurrence. They're building up Hook on Rampage, and, you're waiting for that big debut on Dynamite, which I definitely do see it happening. He's probably going to wrestle on Dynamite maybe in a month or so. Right now they're soft. They're 100% building up Hook on Rampage. And, that's the beauty about Rampage. You see this talent getting built up on that particular show. And then, once they're finally built up, they finally wrestle on Dynamite. I can see that, and I really enjoy that. Especially Hook is a primary example of that. But I'm going to be talking more about Hook later on. The first match of the evening is Adam Cole versus Jake Atlas. Overall thoughts on this match. Jake Atlas, of course, he recently got signed to AEW. Jake Atlas is really good in the ring from what I've seen. They showed a clip of him wrestling on Dark. I think it was on Dark Elevation that he wrestled on, and he looked really good. He looked really good from the clip that I saw. And I will say this, he definitely got some really good offense in this match. Adam Cole, as always, looked great. Adam Cole is one of the best wrestlers in the world right now. But the match starts. Both lock up. We get a side headlock takeover by Atlas. Both try to go for the super kick, but don't hit each other. So there was a lot of technical wrestling in the beginning stages of the match. There was a lot of back and forth by both, and it really set the tone for this match. Cole misses the shotgun drop kick, and then Atlas returns the favor with the shotgun drop kick of his own, but he actually succeeds in hitting it. We got a cover and a near fall. We get a couple of chops by Atlas in the corner. We get a pump kick in the corner by Atlas. Atlas then gets sent to the outside. Cole sends Atlas to the ring post. He goes in the ring. We get repeated rights by Cole. Cole is in control. Atlas proceeds to fight back. Atlas hits a rolling elbow. Cole then counters a springboard into a backstabber. Cole is in control during the break. Once we're back from break, Atlas hits a Hurricane Rana. We get a drop kick by Atlas. Atlas then hits a suicide dive. We get a springboard shotgun drop kick by Atlas. We get a cover into near fall. We get a pump kick by Cole. Then Adam Cole hits the Ushigoroshi. Then we get an enziguri by Cole. We get a clothesline by Atlas. We get a reverse brainbuster by Adam Cole. Then Cole eventually runs into the running boot by Jake Atlas. Atlas then plants Cole to the ring. We get a cover into near fall. We get a springboard countered by Cole with a thrust kick. Then Cole tries to go for the Panama Sunrise, but Atlas counters. But Cole applies a knee bar. Atlas taps out, and Cole wins the match. And near the end of that match, it looked like Atlas injured his knee. So that looked really bad. Hopefully he's all right, but I heard that Atlas got injured during that match. So hopefully Atlas recovers. But I will say this. Atlas looked really good in this match. Bro, I swear to God, the portion of me is literally about to say Jack Atlas from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, but thankfully I'm not going to say that. But Jake Atlas, again, he was really good in the ring. You know, again, he recently got signed. So, you know, Tony Khan said that, you know, he's a tremendous wrestler, and he really is. You know, from what I've seen in this match, he's really good. But yeah, after that, Cole wins the match. Then Red Dragon comes out. Then Cole says, congratulations, as he won a new ass whooping. And then, you know, they're about to threaten, or they're about to attack Jake Atlas after that. But then the Best Friends and Chuck Taylor and Wheeler Yuta come out for the save. So yeah, overall thoughts, it was a pretty good match to start off Rampage. It's great to see Adam Cole wrestling on Rampage. Again, you know, they're treating this show, I mean, it's pretty obvious that Rampage is the B show. It is. It's the B show, but, you know, they're putting wrestlers on this show to make it as important as Dynamite, and that is great to see. This is not just an episode of Dark, in my opinion. You know, a lot of people view Rampage as an episode of Dark. I don't watch Dark, but no, to me, AEW Rampage is a good show. It's a good 1 hour show. You know, there's some episodes of Rampage that I'm not really as invested in, but I will say in recent weeks I've been really invested with Rampage. Cody then, we got a video package of Cody not facing Sammy Guevara due to a medical protocol. So he will not face Sammy Guevara at Battle of the Belts, considering the fact that a lot of people are saying that he tested positive for COVID-19. I believe that is the case. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But in Cody Rhodes' place will be his brother Dustin Rhodes, and he will face Sammy Guevara to crown an interim TNT champion. So they're not replacing Cody. Cody's not vacating the title. It's an interim TNT championship. So whoever is crowned the interim TNT champion, there eventually will be two TNT champions, and the possibilities, I will say, are endless. You know, Cody, you know, could possibly, if Dustin wins the interim TNT championship, we could possibly see, you know, Dustin Rhodes versus Cody Rhodes. Two, of course, they wrestled on the very first Double or Nothing show way back in 2019, which was an amazing-ass match. If you guys haven't checked out that match, please go ahead and watch Dustin versus Cody. Please watch that damn match, because it's probably one of the best AEW matches you'll ever see. And it's probably one of the most bloodiest matches as well. I mean, Cody bled a lot in that match. And Cody is the type of wrestler that whenever he wrestles like an important match, he will blade like freaking crazy. All right. Tony interviews Andrade. He says that the problem is not with Sting. Why is this little kid working for Sting? And then Tony Schiavone says that he's not working for Sting. He is friends with Sting. And says that, you know, him and Jose are busy and they need new assistants. And he asks Sting to name his price. So Andrade wants Darby Allin on the team. And I definitely do not see that happening, considering the fact that, number one, Darby is just completely over. And number two, Darby Allin and Sting are just a great duo. But I definitely do see a match between Darby Allin and Andrade El Idolo eventually happening, which I really want to see. Please, AEW, book that match, because Andrade is really good. And to be honest, we really haven't seen Andrade for the past couple of weeks on television. You know, he made a return last week on Dynamite, but, you know, he hasn't really been utilized on television a lot. And, you know, AEW really needs to figure out how to utilize him more often on television. You know, that's just me. All right. We get Hook versus Aaron Solo. What can I say about Hook? Bro, Hook was extremely over, man. And he's always over, and he's been over ever since he debuted in AEW, even before he debuted. I mean, they hyped the hell out of Hook ever since he first debuted. And, the funniest thing is that I was watching this show live at the Prudential Center. Bro, the people in the front row, oh my God, they were so funny. They were chanting, "We are hookers." That was one of the funniest chants I've ever heard in my life. But, Hook, during the match, he picks up Solo. He takes him down. We got a couple of waist locks by Hook. Outside trip by Hook. Hook with a couple of body shots in the corner. QT tries to grab the boot of Hook, but then Solo gains control in the corner. We get a Russian leg sweep by Hook. Hook then applies a leg lock. Solo then goes over. Then Hook applies a leg lock. Solo rolls over. We get a near fall. We get a couple of waist lock switches. Then Hook throws Solo to the mat. Solo hits a jawbreaker. Hook then throws Solo again. We get a couple of crossface shots by Hook. Then he applies the Red Rum, a.k.a. the Taz mission. Then what happens? Hook wins the match when Solo taps out. Then after that, QT Marshall comes in and confronts Hook. But then what happens? He plants QT to the match. And, bro, there's a video that I posted on my Instagram account. Follow me on there as well. It's right down here. Right there. It's right down there. Follow my Instagram. But it's hilarious. So, like, literally, when I was literally screaming, "Choke him out!" If you watch the video, I was literally screaming, "Choke him out." It was one of the funniest things ever. But Hook, again, bro, the guy is going to be a star. Just not only his presence, but the way he wrestles in the ring. The guy, people can say, "Oh, he's just green," but bro, Hook looks really good, and you can tell he's been training a lot. And you know what? It's great to see that, AEW is actually building for the future, and this could possibly be a new pillar in AEW. I'm making predictions right now. Hook could possibly be, TNT champion maybe by the end of this year. Maybe. That's just my view, but hopefully that is the case. Ricky Starks on commentary then challenges Matt Sydal at Battle of the Belts for the FTW Championship. So that's going to be a great match. And Hobbs will face Dante Martin next week on TBS on Dynamite. So yeah. Ruby Soho and Riho versus Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. I wasn't really as invested in this match either. Number one, Ruby Soho wrestled twice in one night. I mean, I don't know why AEW does that sometimes. And not only that, you're basically giving away Riho versus Britt Baker technically. I mean, we already saw the match, but, you're technically giving it away again. But the heels go after Riho. We get a knee strike by Ruby. The match starts. Ruby works on Hayter in the corner. Ruby and Riho take a double team. Then we get a cover by Riho into near fall. Riho at this point is legal. Britt and Jamie with repeated stops on Ruby Soho. Then Ruby is legal. Britt is legal. We get a kick by Ruby. Riho tags in. We get a combo sent on by both Riho and Ruby Soho. Later on in the match, they take out Hayter on the middle. They take out Hayter in the middle rope. We get a cover into near fall. Riho hits a tornado DDT. We get a cover into near fall. Riho goes to the top. Britt Baker catches her. We get a backbreaker by Hayter, and then we get a thrust kick by Hayter. We get a cover by Hayter and a near fall. And then Hayter by accident hits a right elbow on Britt Baker. We get a roll up, and Ruby Soho and Riho win the match. Overall, again, I really wasn't as invested in this match, but it got the job done. And hopefully, I definitely do think Britt Baker and Riho will definitely be an awesome match, to be quite honest with you. It's going to be a really good match at Battle of the Belts. Dan Lambert basically ranting about the interim TNT Championship, saying that, Dustin Rhodes shouldn't even be there, blah, blah, blah. Scorpio Sky rants that, he can beat both guys and all that stuff. So, yeah. And Ethan Page then says, tomorrow they will be watching. I've been filming for 48 minutes now. Damn. A double review really takes a toll on me. All right, the main event. Crazy-ass spot fest right here. I wouldn't necessarily say spot fest, but Santana and Ortiz and Eddie Kingston versus 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. Overall thoughts on this match. This is a pretty good street fight. I will say that. Yeah, but, to be quite honest, I could have sworn we've seen them wrestle before in previous weeks on Rampage. To me, I'm kind of tired already of this feud, in my opinion. I'm not really as invested in this feud. But I will say this, the match was really good. Santana and Ortiz and Eddie Kingston attacked 2.0 and Daniel Garcia when they were doing the interview with Mark Henry, when Mark Henry does it's time for the main event. But once we're back from break, a brawl breaks loose in the stage. Kingston takes Garcia in the ring. Kingston then sends Garcia to the guardrail. He takes a garbage can. We get a right hand by Garcia. Kingston then gouges the eyes of Garcia. He hits Garcia with the can. We get a stomp by Kingston. Kingston then hits Garcia multiple times with the can. He puts the can in the head of Garcia and kicks the can. We get a boot by Parker on Ortiz. We got a suplex by Santana on Matt Lee. Parker throws Ortiz on the guardrail. Garcia then gouges the eyes of Kingston. Santana and Ortiz then suplex Parker on the floor. Then Kingston suplexes Garcia on the trash can. The brawl just continues to run rampant during the break. Santana hits a pile driver on Parker on the chair. Once we're back from break, we get repeated rights by Santana. Santana hits a cutter. Both. We get a roll up by Garcia into near fall. We get a leg lariat by Ortiz. Santana hits a frog splash. Then Matt Lee throws powder in the face of Santana. We get a DDT by Matt Lee. We get a cover into near fall. A DDT by Ortiz. Garcia takes the ring bell. Then 2.0 takes Eddie. Garcia hits Kingston with the ring bell again. We get a cover into near fall. Then Parker has tape. 2.0 and Garcia hit a triple suplex through the table into the timekeeper's area. Then Garcia goes for a chair shot. Gets hit with the chair shot by Santana. Then hits Parker. Then he hits the chair on Lee. Garcia then with the boot on the apron. Or from the apron, I should say. Both Ortiz and Garcia exchange shots. Then Santana and Ortiz plant Garcia. We get a cover into near fall. We get a boot by Lee. Parker hits a discus lariat. We got a cover, and the baby faces win the match. Overall thoughts, this was a pretty good match. Then the heels attack Eddie Kingston and Santana and Ortiz. Jericho then comes out on commentary for the save, and the show ends. So Santana and Ortiz, Eddie Kingston win the match. Overall thoughts on this match. It was a pretty good match, but to be quite honest, I'm not really as invested in this feud. I'm just kind of tired of this feud. I want to see something new, especially on Rampage. But overall thoughts on Rampage, I thought it was a pretty fun show. It was not a bad show whatsoever. Of course, Battle of the Belts is tonight. Actually, in a couple, minutes, I should say. So I got to hurry my ass up. But overall thoughts, one thing I will say about Battle of the Belts is the fact that, with Battle of the Belts, I expected this show to be like 2 hours, and the disappointing thing about it is that this show is only going to be 1 hour, and not only that, like there's just not really that much build for Battle of the Belts, and that to me that's kind of disappointing on AEW's part. I feel like the quarterly specials should be at least 2 hours. It should be a pay-per-view level card on TNT on a random Saturday night, or on 4 Saturday nights, but that's not going to be the case. So, hopefully Battle of the Belts is a really good show, but to be quite honest, I'm really disappointed that the show's only 1 hour and there was barely any build for the show. But I definitely do think that AEW will knock it out of the park. And yeah, that was my double review for AEW Dynamite and AEW Rampage. Overall thoughts, it was a really fun experience being live at the Prudential Center. And definitely, I hope AEW comes back. But overall thoughts, both of these shows were pretty good. The crowd was absolutely rampant, even though there was not a lot of people in the Prudential Center. But, AEW is on a roll, and, they will make some mistakes there and there. But overall thoughts, both shows absolutely nailed it out of the park. Just the matches and all that stuff, and the crowd in New Jersey was just definitely a fun experience. So, yeah, hopefully I'll come out with you guys. I'll probably upload maybe the vlog on Sunday. I've stated Sunday. Hopefully I get down with that. But yeah, please make sure to like more of my, like and subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more of my videos, and follow me on social media. And this is Broken Havoc Podcast. This is Broken Havoc from the Broken Havoc Podcast. Signing out.